The Lamenters are a loyalist chapter of the Adeptus Astartes established during the cursed 21st founding. Unlike many of the other chapters from this particular founding, the origins of the Lamenters gene seed is well known, for it is derived from the genetic stock of the Blood Angels Primogenitor Legion. The history of the Lamenters is one of tragedy after tragedy, for the chapter has been cursed with numerous instances of bad luck. Many chapters refuse to associate with the Lamenters due to their standing of being a cursed founding chapter. This even resulted in the chapter being almost destroyed during one of the many Black Crusades, when the Mortificators chapter abandoned them during the defense of Corellia. This left only 200 Battle Brothers to survive the conflict by the time reinforcements from the White Scars and Ultramarines chapters had arrived. Despite managing to rebuild their numbers back to fighting strength, the chapter's bad luck would continue when they sided with the renegade forces of Luft Huron and the Astral Claws chapter during the Badab War. Despite believing their actions were justified, and forced into a protracted stalemate with the Marines errant, with neither chapter wishing to harm the other, the Lamenters faced certain destruction once more, this time at the hands of the Minotaurs chapter, who launched an all-out assault against the chapter's fortress monastery. The surviving 300 Battle Brothers of the chapter would be granted the Emperor's forgiveness for their heresy and allying with renegades, subject to undertaking a century-long penitent crusade. This crusade of penitence, however, would lead the remainder of the chapter to be all but slaughtered completely by the Tyrannids of High Fleet Kraken. While only a figurative handful of the Lamenters chapter survived, the chapter seeks to regain its strength and to become stronger than ever before. Given the poor luck that has followed the Lamenters chapter since their inception, can it really be chalked up to coincidence and poor judgment, or is there a more specific underlying cause for their supposed curse? The Lamenters are not the only group within the Imperium who are plagued with terrible luck and misfortune. There exists a species of abhuman that also suffers the same hardships as the chapter, known as the Afriel Strain. While little is known about this particular strain of abhuman, the Afriel Strain was said to be a result of experiments that were intended to create the perfect soldiers for the Astra Militarum. To this end, DNA that was extracted from the greatest men and women to ever serve the Emperor was utilized within experiments to capitalize on the unique characteristics that was said to make these beings so great, such as strength, intelligence, and charisma. It's unknown as to just who exactly this genetic material came from, but one popular rumor is that some of the DNA came from Lord Solar Macarius himself. Despite producing soldiers that were undoubtedly superior upon the battlefield, the Afriel experiments were considered to be a failure. Not only did the strain suffer from extreme albinism, turning their skin, hair and eyes alabaster white, but they also gave off an aura that drew the hostility of other soldiers from other guard regiments, who claim that there is something just not right about the strain, as well as suffering from numerous instances of misfortune that resulted in the entire strain almost becoming extinct as a result. That being said, the Afriel strain still continues to survive and propagate. This in turn could suggest that the Lamenters have simply been unfortunate to have recruited from the descendants of this particular strain of humanity. Admittedly though, this does seem incredibly unlikely. Space Marine chapters undergo a stringent recruitment process to find candidates who are strong enough both physically and mentally, as well as being genetically stable and pure enough to undergo and survive the gene seed implantation process. Although the Afriel strain of abhumans may have been superior to the regular bulk of humanity, their deviation from humanity's genetic template may make them in fact incapable of receiving Astartes' gene seed. While the worlds within the Imperium will undoubtedly have populations that vary slightly in their genetic makeup from one another, abhumans have a DNA structure that is so radically different that they are classified as separate species entirely, regardless of their ancestry. This then results in the possibility of the Lamenters being drawn inadvertently from Afriel Strain stock extremely unlikely. Given that the chapters of the cursed 21st founding were supposedly created to perfect and breed out flaws within their respective gene seeds, it's possible that those experiments that were designed to improve the genetic stock of the Lamenters in fact contributed to their curse of being afflicted with poor luck and ill fortune. The idea that the ill fortune of the Lamenters came as a result from attempts to purge the Blood Angel's gene seed from the flaws of the Black Rage and the Red Thirst is also supported within the book Imperial Armor Volume 9, when detailing the history of the Lamenters chapter. This book also states how the Lamenters also rarely succumb to the Red Thirst, but hold a more morbid and melancholic disposition as a result. This hypothesis that links the chapter's ill fortunes with the experimentation upon their gene seed would make sense, at least from an initial standpoint. Not only do the warriors of the chapter suffer from similar traits that is seen within the Afriel strain of Abhuman, but for a time, the Lamenters chapter were the only Blood Angel successor chapter to never have its warriors succumb to one of the flaws found within the genetic stock of Sanguinius, the Black Rage. Those afflicted with the Black Rage believe they are their Primarch Sanguinius during the final hours of the Horus Heresy, and become filled with the rage and pain of their Primarch, believing they are indeed Sanguinius in his final battle against the arch-traitor Horus Lupercal. The sufferers of the Black Rage become violent and near uncontrollable berserkers, tearing any who bar their path limb from limb. While the Lamenters began to suffer from the effects of the Black Rage from the onset of the Badab War, they still suffered from the affliction at a far lower rate than other Blood Angel successor chapters, at least for a time, if nothing else. This was even notable enough for the Blood Angels chapter to send out envoys in an attempt to seek out members of the Lamenters chapter in order to share their secret so that they might possibly cure the flaw within their own gene seed. However, this ultimately failed. But in the Imperium's attempts to purge the Sanguinian flaws from the Blood Angel's genetic stock, they may have indeed done more harm than good. Not only has the Black Rage made its presence known within the Lamenters' gene seed, but it also appears to be growing more volatile and uncontrollable within them compared to other Blood Angel successor chapters. While the reasoning for this is unknown, it may be somewhat tied to the inherent psychic trait that is found within the gene code of Sanguinius. Sanguinius was one of the Primarchs who had a stronger connection to the energies of the Warp compared to most of the other Primarchs, even to the point of sharing a psychic connection with each and every one of his sons. This even became a detriment to the Primarch during the battle for Cygnus Prime, which took place during the events of the Horus Heresy. Traitor forces managed to slay hundreds of Blood Angels with a singular act, which caused Sanguinius to suffer from a psychic backlash as he felt their pain and suffering, which in turn would be felt by his sons when he would be brutally murdered by Horus during the final hours of the Horus Heresy upon the vengeful spirit. As a result, in attempting to purge flaws from the Lamenters chapter entirely, this may have inadvertently triggered some kind of psychic quandary, causing the Lamenters to subconsciously alter the fabric of reality around them to subject them to calamity and misfortune. But given that similar traits have been witnessed within the Afriel strain of Abhuman, it seems to indicate that the only outcome for striving for perfection will be melancholy, hardship, and hatred from others. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.